Okay, welcome everybody. I'm Randy Gold, and I have my co-host Keith Williams. Hi, Keith.
Hi, Randy. How are you today?
I'm doing good, and you are all snowed in, so you're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah, here's my window right now. That's a giant mountain of snow on top of my air conditioner.
Very nice. Well, I have
Yeah.
about 70 degrees out here in Los Angeles, so that's the last time we'll bring that up. Anyway, here we are. We are going to be talking about preparing to take the Jeopardy adult qualifying test, which is coming up in a few days. It's coming up this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that's why we're here. We're going to be doing a basic overview of what the test is all about, what should you be doing in the next few days in the preparation for the test, and answer any questions that you have. So with that, I introduced us, but let me just go back to Keith and tell everybody that what's our background here. Keith was the 2003 college Jeopardy college champion.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
That's a long time. What have you done
Still,
since
I
then?
still milk it once in a while. I don't know. I watch once in a while and sometimes make videos about people's wagers and things like that. But
Keith
watches
every day. So if you don't know Keith, you should get to know him. Thefinalwager.co, not .com. Thefinalwager.co. Keith is probably the leading authority on wagering, Final Jeopardy, Daily Doubles, etc. Right? He won't disagree with that.
Sarah McNitt's up there too with Just Wager 4000. But yeah, we trade off every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, Keith is the one with the website that everybody goes to, right?
Yeah.
Right. Didn't Arthur Chu give you credit for teaching him how to wager?
He did use my site to wager for the tie and won a lot of games with it. I mean, obviously he knew a lot too, which is going to be the focus of this discussion today. But if you're going to be on the show, I highly recommend watching The Final Wager. And even if you're not, I mean, come on over. It's a good time.
I agree.
Yeah.
I get his notifications every day.
Yeah. Well, as for Randy was on, when were you on? 06, 07?
I was on 2008.
2008? Oh, wow.
I had one semi-glorious appearance and had to deal with Final Jeopardy, that nasty old Final Jeopardy. But I got on the show. I think that's my claim to fame, is that I got on the show, and taking the test and doing well on the test is the first part of that. So that's what we're really going to be focusing on today, is how to make you as ready as you're going to be to take that exam.
And I should point out that you wagered properly. So you got that going for you too.
Thank you. It would have been better if you're talking about my appearance.
Yeah.
October 27th, 2008, by the way, if you want to go look it up, you can go to j-archive.com if you actually want to see my show. And if you want to see Keith's appearances, you can see that too, 2003.
They're not all up yet. Still in the dark.
They're not.
Ages. No.
Oh, David, can you get working on that?
I've got the DVD if you need it.
Okay, well, I have the DVD too. I went to a party shortly after my appearance and discovered that my friend was running my appearance on a continuous loop in his living room.
See what all you people have to look forward to once you get on the show.
Yeah.
Constant mockery.
Yes. Well, how do we know each other? How do we know each other? Just real quick.
Probably
how do we
through
know?
Jboard, right?
Through Jboard. Why don't you explain what Jboard is?
So Jboard is a user-run site, fan site for Jeopardy contestants, fans, possible contestants, people who don't think they have any shot of ever getting on the show, but we talk about games, we talk about strategy, we talk about random tidbits of trivia, things that are going on in the news, things to study up on. So it's pretty fascinating, and it's a good group of people. It's far removed from what you'll see if you go onto Facebook, on Jeopardy's Facebook page, and see some of the comments on there. There are none of those.
No.
Yeah, sometimes we disagree about whether a question was technically accurate, but there's no, this guy's an idiot, or that guy looks like a dope, that sort of thing you see elsewhere. It's a very friendly community, and if you're not already a member, I highly suggest checking it out, jboard.tv.
Right. .tv, make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to know anything about Jeopardy, if you're interested in just watching the show and you want to find out what's kind of going on behind the scenes, this is probably the best place to go.
Yeah. So I'm a new user on Blab, and Randy has a little bit more experience on this. So I think he'll take us through some of what we need to know over the next half hour, however long this is going to last.
Will do.
And I already see we have a question.
We do. Keith, why don't you kind of keep track
named Vinny. I don't recognize that name at all. He doesn't have any experience on Jeopardy, I don't think.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to get to all your questions. So just keep piling them on, and Keith will keep track of them, and I'll keep track of them too, and we will eventually get to them. Even if you have to just keep annoying us and keep pressing that submit button, we will get to them, because that's why we're here. Let me tell you about Blab real quickly. This is a relatively new platform. Some people were on before we actually started the official Blab. It's a platform for discussions, audio and video connections. If you notice that there, you will see 3 windows. I'm in one, Keith is in one, and there's something that's labeled as an open seat. There actually are up to 4 windows where we can actually have 4 people engaged in a direct conversation at the same time. And I'll explain in a moment how you can actually request a seat. There's a chat box on the right, which most of you had discovered. This is a running chat. You can send questions, and the way you specifically send a question that you want to be noted as a question to be answered is to do a /Q. So I'm going to do an example here. And you notice that what I type in as a question with the /Q shows up on the left-hand column, so that we can see that is specifically is a question that you want to have addressed. And other than that, we'll be monitoring the chat to stay in. And again, I welcome everybody. We've got 30 some odd people on and 19 visitors. 34 signed in, 35 signed in, 19 visitors. Excellent.
Hi, Leanna just sent a question like this. Yes, like that. That
yes,
works.
Exactly right.
And people who are watching Jeopardy are very good at asking questions. So I expect that we'll get a lot of them today.
That's right. But one thing to note when you take the test is you don't have to phrase it as a question, correct?
That is correct. And we'll get into some of the strategies of taking the test. But let's do the overview first, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, if you look along the top, you can see all the people, the little icons up there are people that are logged in and watching us. Let me state, I'm not sure if I stated it, but I'll do it again if I had stated it, that if you want to actually chat with us and communicate directly, either in a seat or through the chat, ask a question, then you do need to be logged in, and it uses a Twitter login. It's not a Twitter product, but you need a Twitter account in order to get in. You can be here anonymously, but you just have to watch and listen, which may be enough for you. So let us go on. Also, one other thing on the left, if you have a following and you want to tweet or post on Facebook about this, there's a button there where you can actually send this out to your followers. Have you done that, Keith?
I did, but maybe I'll do it again.
Do it again, right. You know you have to keep tweeting people. And just one other thing, we're here. Hopefully this works out well. We're going to be doing this again. So you can what's called follow us. If you look up in our windows, on the top left of the window, you see there's an identification of who we are. There's a little box to the right of our names and our handles that has a plus sign. I think it should have a plus sign there. If you press on that, you will be following us, which means that when we schedule another Blab, you will automatically get a little notification that we're going to be doing this. So hopefully this works out. We will be doing more things like this in the future, right? Maybe?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely. Well, Keith is on every day. Keith is in front of a camera every day at the final wager.co.
Yeah, normally I do my when I do these chat things for the Jeopardy fan or what have you, I'll do it with the board in the background, but I decided to do it with the snow this time. Don't worry, the board is close at hand if I need it for this chat, but I don't think I will.
I don't think you will.
I hope not. Jeez.
Because we have the technology under control. Okay, so with that overview done, let us actually get up to the test. So I'm going to ask Keith to kind of explain an overview of the test.
Yeah. So
And
those of go ahead.
no, no, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right.
I'll let you talk, and if I hear something that I really object to, I will just jump in or X you out or whatever.
Yes. Or yeah, just kick me out completely. So those of you who are here, a lot of you have probably already registered for the test. If you go to Jeopardy.com, there will be a very prominent link on the homepage where you can register for one of 3 tests: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They're timed for different time zones, but you can take any one you want. If you want to take the Pacific time zone on Thursday, I think that is, which is 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern. If you're in New York and you like late nights, maybe go for it. Randy, you made a good point when we were discussing this earlier about which test you should actually take if you have a choice. And maybe you want to talk about that.
Right. They give you the choice of 3 nights, and ostensibly that's to allow for different time zones. But in reality, even if you say you're going to take it on a certain day, you could take it on any day you want. And my feeling is that you should not schedule yourself to take it or plan to take it on the 3rd day, because the test is only given once a year. And if for some reason on that 3rd day, meaning Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, on Thursday, if for some reason you cannot take the test that day, your computer is having hiccups, or you were called away in an emergency, or you just don't have the time, or the kids are crying, or whatever it is, if you don't take it on that 3rd day and you were planning to take it on the 3rd day, then you are out of luck for a year. So I definitely recommend you take it on either the 1st or the 2nd day. I'm not sure that one is necessarily better than the other, but the last day is really take a chance. I mean, the first condition is what really is the best day for you to take it, knowing your individual schedules and when you have the time. They do stagger it, as I said, for the 3 days so that they can make sure that in any time zone, you can take it at either early evening or late evening. So it does come back to one, what are the days that you are available to take the test? And of those, I think either the 1st or the 2nd day is the best option. I need some water.
Yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. Well, we were talking a lot before this, so not surprised you're a little hoarse. So the format of the test is there are going to be 50 questions, and you'll get the category and the question, or the clue, immediately. And you'll have 15 seconds to then type in your response. And your response does not have to be in the form of a question. I think, in fact, they don't want you to put it in the form of a question. So just type, if it's, this person was the first president of the United States, you just type in Washington and you're done. There is a button where you can submit your answer if you feel like you want to go ahead and see the next question right away. If you leave the box with your answer in it, then once the 15 seconds are up, it'll automatically accept what is typed in the box. Now, you might want to go ahead and look at the next question. I think Randy and I both agree that the best idea is to just wait it out. Wow, I'm getting a lot of props. Thanks, Randy. The best idea is to just wait it out, because every single question is going to be a mini panic attack for you. Things going to pop up. You're going to start to scan the question. You're going to say, oh, okay, I know this. Or suddenly fear is going to start to set in that you're not going to know it and you're not going to be able to figure it out. Give yourself a breather if you don't know something, or even if you do know something right off the bat. Just give yourself the full 15 seconds, catch your breath. If you've got water, take a sip of water if you feel like you need it. But I wouldn't jump ahead, just because it's overwhelming enough as it is to have a 15-second break between each question. Anything else on the format? I guess we can talk about we had a problem with, we had a little discussion about what operating systems work with what browsers, and whether you should take the test on the computer or on a tablet or on a phone. In an ideal world, I would definitely take it on a computer proper, because that way you can type your answers in and you get a bigger screen. Definitely go on, if you haven't taken the 30 question practice test that they offer, go to jeopardy.com and check it out. Test it on any of the browsers that you use. Chrome works well for me. I have a Mac with El Capitan. Some people, I think on Windows 10, were saying Chrome didn't work so well for them. Safari seems to have mixed reviews. You can take the test more than once. You can just test a bunch of different things and see what's good for you. The only time I would say that you should use a phone to take the test, because it's just hard with typing and such. I haven't tested it myself, so I don't know how it works. But one, if you can't get to a computer, then use your phone. It's better than nothing. And two, if you have a unreliable internet connection, if you're afraid that your Wi-Fi is going to go down or your landline is going to go down, then it might be a better idea to take the test on a phone, just because you don't want to be in the middle of a good run and then just get conked out and lose everything that you've done and then have to wait another year. Randy, thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that. That certainly is a good idea. Now with I guess with Windows 10 coming up and all the different browser situations, definitely you need to test it out. And as Keith says, you can take that practice test more than once. So if you have any questions, I've taken it on a Chromebook, and it seems to work fine, which is the Chrome operating system. So they say on Jeopardy.com, they say you can take it on, they're very generic. You can take it on a PC, on a Mac, on a tablet, on a phone. So they're kind of saying it should work in all those environments, but you really don't want to wait until the test to make sure that it's going to work in what you plan. So, try to stay traditional if you can, but if you have an issue with that, then do a test ahead of time. Because when you get to that actual test, as Keith suggested doing it on a phone, if your computer or if your Wi-Fi connection craps out, well, that's it. Once you have logged in, once they recognize that you are signed into the test, it doesn't matter. That's it. You have no recourse if your system goes down in the middle.
Yeah, and that might be a good entry point to talking about some of the things that you want to do on the day of the test. Because even here was a good example. Randy and I had a chat maybe half an hour before this recorded chat. And when I came to log back in, I found that I wasn't getting any sound and my microphone wasn't working. So luckily I showed up 10 minutes early and had enough time to restart my computer. So Randy, why don't you talk about some of the things you might want to do in the hours, minutes leading up to the test?
Sure.
Especially because Randy has cats and
yes,
they tend to be a little bit annoying.
I have a big Buster that's sitting at my feet right now. So if at some point I jump unexpectedly, it's because he may start clawing at my leg. But if I disturb him, he's more than likely to start annoying me. So as long as he's sitting there quietly, I'm just going to let it go. But it's things like that that are really important when it comes to the day of the test. You want to remove as many distractions as you can and prepare as early as you can in the process. Don't wait for 2 minutes before the test starts in order to log into your computer. I would definitely recommend, or whatever it is, your tablet or your phone or whatever it is reboot it 20 minutes before, 30 minutes, depending on how long it might take you to reboot. But get a clean system. You really don't want to have anything else running. You don't want Facebook running. You don't want anything that's going to start sending out signals to you or whatever. Just give yourself that. The whole test takes, 12 minutes? So, do yourself a favor and just isolate those 12 minutes from the rest of your life. You want to remove your distractions, which gets back to what is the best day to take it. If you know that a certain day, other things are going to be happening around you in the house, then maybe that's not the best day for you to take the test. You want to be able to just isolate yourself in a separate room if you can. Turn off the phone. Get the kids away, start them doing something, watching TV or whatever in another room so that you're not going to be distracted with that. Because, as I said, once you start it, you continue. If you find that it's not going to work out for you that day, then if you have that extra day of flexibility, then take it the next day. But once you initially log in, then you have to continue that. So you want to remove any distractions that you have, get a comfortable chair, start breathing like I'm not doing. Just get yourself in a good frame of mind that you're in the here and now. Little mindset there. Just get into the here and now, and you're going to be taking the test. And with that kind of a mindset, you're going to do as well as you can, given all of your other capabilities.
Yeah, and one thing I would suggest is there are a number of recorded practice tests on YouTube, and some people have transcribed the test. What I would suggest is take one of those YouTube tests and pretend it's the real thing. Mm-hmm. So get to the room where you're going to take the actual test, clear all the distractions that might be there. If you want to have a glass of water, have it ready, and just try it out. Try to see what works and what doesn't for those 12 minutes. If you find that you start to panic because you are hungry, then maybe that'll tell you should eat a little bit something before the actual test. And you can do that multiple times if you want.
Yeah, good. And something to also keep in mind for taking the test, and then when you get to the audition, and then when you're actually on the show, have fun. If you treat this as a life or death situation, you're probably not going to do as well as you can. So you really want to have fun in the process. And Keith, can attest to being on the show and going through an audition that if you're not having fun, you're probably not going to get through the audition. If you look like you're about to start blowing steam out of your ears out of nervousness or whatever, then you're probably not going to be picked for the show, right?
Yeah. Well, you never know.
You never know.
It doesn't hurt to be telegenic and to look like you're all put together, but
yeah.
And it certainly will help you once you get toward the audition and on the show, but we'll talk about that later.
Right. But I'm just thinking about the mindset of taking the test. If you, if you're thinking about all sorts of other things and you're just so tense about taking this, have fun. I think you'll find that your mind will flow better. I mean, you know who you are and how well you do on tests and things like that, but I think just the concept of having fun while you're doing it will help you get through the test as well.
Yeah, I actually want to address one of the questions now, and I want to. I'm going to open up this seat. Vinny, if you can hit open seat.
Well, the seat is open. Do you want to invite somebody on?
Oh yeah, can you invite people on?
You can if you know there's somebody there that you want to.
Oh yeah, if you look, Vinny, if you look below our images, there should be something that says join. I'm not sure exactly what it says, but there should be a button you can hit.
Yeah, request a seat or something. There's going to be that open window.
It's got a call in.
I'll call in. But you need to be hooked up with your sound and your webcam. Where are you going with this, Keith?
Oh, well, he asked a question about the content.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well,
so while Vinny's figuring out his technical situation, let's talk about, I guess, some of the psychological things you can do during the test, because some questions are going to be very easy. Some questions are going to be things that you just don't know. And I would say the most important thing that you can do during the test is to forget the last question, whether it was good or bad. Just focus on the next question. You will miss, unless you are superhuman, you will miss multiple questions on this exam. And that's going to happen. I don't think anyone in Jeopardy history has gotten all 60 clues right in a game, or known all 60 clues, or 61 clues, or 58, or whatever our average is these days. Slow play. But just focus on the question at hand. And the way I would do it is I would look at the category and then look at the clue. And the category is often very important. You'll get some information out of that, whether it's, there's always a before and after clue, which, if you've seen those, are Two separate responses joined by a word in the middle. So Wheel of Fortune Teller might be a response. Wheel of Fortune, Fortune Teller. Oh, we got Vinny.
Ah, hey, Vinny. Let's see what happens here. While we're waiting for Vinny to come on, let me explain one thing. Keith mentioned this before about getting props. If you click on the person on the window, can you see what I'm doing there? You see my visage is showing up?
I can't hear you, Vinny.
No, can't hear you.
No, still not.
It's not that.
Oh,
it's
wait. Say again. No.
No, can we read lips?
I don't know. But I assume this is what Vinny looks like when he's on the street. He's going incognito. He doesn't want all the attention.
With his Montreal Expos cap.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that goes back a while.
Yeah.
Good.
Hey, try unplugging your headset. No, still not working. I had this problem too. If you go into the settings in your sound settings, are you on a Mac? No. If you go into sound settings, it changed to SoundCloud or not SoundCloud, but Soundflower. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. We'll leave you on. We'll keep talking for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me answer a question that I know somebody is going to ask before you start getting into those, parsing the specific questions. Is people are going to ask how well do you have to do on a test in order to be eligible?
Yeah, how well do you have to do? Nobody knows.
Answer that one. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. We have a guess. The running theory is that you have to get 35 questions right to pass. Nobody knows if that's true or not.
That's out of 50.
Out of 50, right? So 70%. But if you do pass the test, then you're entered into a random or semi-random drawing to see who actually gets an audition. So if you get 48 right, you might not get an audition. If you get 35 right, you might. There's no way to know. So all you can do is your best and then keep your fingers crossed that Maggie or Glenn or someone gives you a call and says, hey, come to Kansas City or come to Boston and show us what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw a comment there by, is it Jeff or Jeffy? Got 46 last year.
Jefe, the boss.
Yeah, that's great. But unfortunately, you're in a pool with several thousand other people for a limited number of audition spots. So the estimate is about 100,000 people a year take the test. And there are, about maybe 4,000 audition spots, Kate? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so you got about a 4. So we really don't know what percentage of people pass the test, but figure it's got to have 100,000. It's maybe 10,000 people actually get the 35 or above. It might be higher, it might be lower. That nobody says anything. Out of that number, about 4,000 will get an audition. And out of that number, about 400 people will be selected for the show. So, yeah, it's a difficult process, but the fact is you got to start with doing well enough on the test and then just hope that you get called for the audition.
Yeah, and some people get an audition the first time, get on the show. Some people don't get an audition several times. Some people have to do auditions 5-6 times before they get on the show. It's not, I don't think Jeopardy's going anywhere. So if you don't get it now, it might actually be a good thing because it gives you a little bit more time to get a stronger base of stuff that which is pretty key to having a long run on the show. Speaking of long runs, Vinny, how are we doing?
Oh, a little bit better.
Can you hear him?
I can barely hear you, but I can hear something.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Oh, I can hear you now a little bit.
It sounds like you're in a cave, but yes, we can hear you.
All right. So I just like having Vinny on there because I didn't know we were going to have. What are you up to, 13 now, Vinny? I should have said 14 just to try to get some spoilers out of him. So Vinny, if for those of you who are unfamiliar, is just tearing up Sports Jeopardy right now. I think, are you and Dan Patrick hanging out on a regular basis outside the show?
We're on a restraining order.
Oh, wait. A little bit more. Wow. A little bit more volume there. I couldn't hear you, but I did hear something, so that's good. So yeah, every Wednesday, New Sports Jeopardy on Crackle. Vinny has had little need for wagering services, so just keeps shutting people out in advance. But yeah, catch him. He's definitely
restraining order.
Yeah, he's definitely crushing it, and it's cool to see someone
Excellent.
so dominant. Especially those of you who are kind of tired of not having any long runs on the regular show as of late.
That gets so tiring, doesn't it, Keith?
Yeah, no, I get to talk about my streaks of futility counter, I guess, which is exciting. We're up to 62 games in a row where we haven't had a 4-time champ. So I guess I'll leave Vinny up there, but his question is, what are the core subjects that are covered for the test and not necessarily for the show at this point? But right now, if you take the test, you can expect a little bit of everything. They're not going to duplicate a category, but they will take a few from geography, a few from history, pop culture. Seems to be a little heavy on pop culture on the online tests, more so than on the actual show, but it really favors a generalist knowledge base. Some of them are... go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing to that, because I took the, 30-question sample test at Jeopardy.com. It's not 50, but it's 30. I found that there was actually very little on that test that had to do with pop culture and current events, which I think is not common. My remembrance is that on the actual test from previous years, and I've looked at the test 3 times a year for the last 4 or 5 years, and it seems like there is relatively a lot on current events and current pop culture, which to me, I mean, you could say I'm not all that current, tends to bring my score down. So, years back, I might have done better. We lost Vinny. But I did 28 out of 30 on the current test, and I thought it was relatively easy compared to the actual test. I mean, relatively easy. I mean, it'll certainly give you a good feel for what it's like to sit and take a test that has a time limit on it, and reading the categories and the questions and putting it all together, which I think we're going to maybe get to next, and have Keith give an example of the types of questions and how he would go about answering them. You think it's a good time to go into that?
Yeah, let's go into that. So just about for the next, over the next few days, I wouldn't spend too much time studying. You might want to brush up on the regular Jeopardy stuff, but I don't think you're going to gain too much from cramming, just because there's only 50 questions. And even if you're on the show and you do a lot of studying, I think you hear maybe, I got out of a 3 or 4 game run, I only knew one thing from studying. So it might not have a lot of effect, even if you see 250 questions over the course of a few days. I would just focus on reviewing what you know, and just going in with a clear head and being ready to take it on. That said, I do want to point out a few nuances that the writers often put into the clues. So a lot of Jeopardy clues aren't just straightforward. He was the 16th president of the United States. They'll often give you a little hint, and I've culled a few of my favorites from the past few weeks of Jeopardy, and Randy will put them up on his screen, and I'll talk through them. So this is kind of what the test will look like. You'll see the category at top, and you'll have the clue below, and then you'll have 15 seconds to type in. Someone pointed out that a few of the browsers will automatically click into the answer key, or where you're going to type your answer. Definitely want that if you can get that. Chrome for Mac definitely does that, and if it doesn't work for you, try other browsers. But it saves you a lot of time, and it saves you the terror of starting to type your answer at the last second and then realizing that it's not recording it. So another thing you want to check out in advance. And Randy and I will put up a post with all this advice and links that you can follow later. So here's the clue: word and phrase origins. After living in Honduras, O. Henry coined this term for a small country dependent on a single export. This isn't so much one of those ones with a hidden clue inside the clue. But if you think of an export and a small country, what might Honduras have? Maybe you think bananas, and then, oh, Banana Republic. So that one's fairly straightforward. All right, let's go to the next one, Randy. Okay, so this one had a photo with it, but you don't need the photo. It just had a bridge, basically. It said, take me home, Fayette County roads in this state, but not on Bridge Day when New River Gorge closes and base jumpers have at it. If you know where New River Gorge is, then this is easy, and you'll notice that the writers, if they wanted it to be really hard, could have just asked you for that, or Fayette County. But they said, take me home, Fayette County roads. And as some people know from recent Final Jeopardy, that was a song written by John Denver, Take Me Home, Country Roads, West Virginia is the answer. So it's not so much a question, do you know where this bridge is? It's, can you figure out from the hints that we're giving you what we're going for? All right, next.
Let me just point out one thing.
Oh, sure.
With that, the first time I looked at this, it was all a jumble. I will admit that. So, as Keith is saying, you need to parse this out. But one thing that is telling you what is the nature of the answer is to look for words like this, because that's indicating what they're looking for. When it says in this state, that's an indication that your answer is going to be a state. So if you were distracted with something else and saying, I don't even know how to answer this question. I know I got the take me home part. I got the New River Gorge part, but I didn't know exactly what they were looking for. The thing you want to do is look for words like this, him, her, if they're talking about a particular person. So the answer there would be a person if you saw that. That's just a clue as to what the nature is. Because sometimes you answer what you think is answering the clue, and you're actually on a different part of the clue. You're not actually getting to what they're looking for.
Yeah, and I would say that the clues on the contestant test are not going to be this long.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be a lot shorter, but this is just giving you a general idea of what hints you might want to look for. Let's go to the next one, Randy. All right, this was on the other night. Gallantly streaming TV is the category. It might just be current television on the test. They don't do little theme categories as far as I know, unless they're before and after or things in quotations. And we all know what that means, as Alex often says. In 2015, Jeffrey Tambor went through some big changes and won a Golden Globe for his role on this Amazon series. Now, a lot of you probably know this one right off the bat, but some of you might not. And there's a hint in here, which is big changes. Anytime you read a clue and you see something that, why would they put that in? That doesn't make any sense. They could have written that a lot more simply. It's probably a hint, and it might, if you don't know the clue straight off the bat, you might want to focus on that part. So what is a big change that someone could make? I mean, he didn't personally have a sex change, but that should lead you to a show with a transgender member of the cast, not member of the cast, but character, and that would be transparent. So even if you don't know transparent, maybe that helps you get in that direction. Oh, I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, but I know it exists, so that's better than nothing. And I guess we should mention that if you don't know something, you might as well just take a guess.
Correct. No penalty for getting a wrong answer. Right. And you did mention very specifically, you don't have to put it in the form of a question, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep that in mind, because you take time if you start typing it out as a question.
Yeah. For those of you who are just joining us, if you have a question, feel free to write in the bottom right corner and it says send a message. If you started with //Q, or is it // I can't remember which is which.
It's a //
All right. Oh, because it's going up. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. If you look on the left, it tells you in that question box on the left, it says type /Q in the chat if you want to make it show up as a question.
Yeah. So if you have any questions for Randy or me or about these clues that we're going through right now, love to hear them. All right. Next up. Long-lived creatures. This was a Daily Double maybe 2 nights ago. Defying a Coleridge poem, this type of bird was 64 when she laid an egg in 2015. They could have just written this question, this type of bird was 64 when she laid an egg in 2015, and no one would know it. But if you know what Coleridge is leading you to, which is the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, you'll know that an albatross is a significant character in that poem, and once you get to that point, it's pretty straightforward. All right, next up. Oh, we do have a question. Tom Markham asks, have you ever been on Jeopardy? Yep, both of us have. I was on, in 2003, I won the college championship, and then I played in the Tournament of Champions and the Ultimate Tournament of Champions, both of which we do not talk about. Randy was on in 2008. He had a big total going into final, wagered for the lockout, and it didn't work out for him. But any other day, he would have definitely been a multi-day champion.
I will agree with that. And I didn't wager. Even if I did not wager for the lockout, I still would have lost. Because I got the question wrong and my 2 opponents got it right. So I was in a situation where I wasn't going to win if I didn't get it right.
Yeah. No wagering discussions anymore. All right, next clue.
All right, hang on here. I'm operating this from a separate window.
David Kendall, I'm going to boot you off this chat if you don't watch your mouth. David put the answer to one of my final Jeopardies in the Tournament of Champions.
David is one of our good friends from J-Board.
Yeah, and he's currently in the pool, so we'll see what he does. I hope he gets a call, and I hope he gets a final Jeopardy about flags. Ushuaia, Argentina, is the largest city on this channel named for a ship that surveyed the area in 1833 and 1834. Now, you'll notice that I skipped the category, which is sin number 1. Always read the category first. Doesn't give us any hints here because we're talking about channels. If you know this straight off the bat, good for you. But I'm guessing most people don't know Argentina's geography that well. So can you think of a ship that might have been in South America in 1833 and 1834? Maybe not. This is a tough one if you don't know the dates that Darwin did his discoveries. But he was on the Beagle, the HMS Beagle then. So if you know that, that'll lead you there. But that's how you get that one. Not knowing the geography itself, but being able to figure out the clue based on the hints that they provide. Next up.
Give me a second here.
Yeah, Tom had another question. I understand that hitting the button technique is more important to play. Yes, definitely. The buzzer is the most important thing in the game, but you got to pass the test first. And once you pass the test, maybe Randy and I will host another thing about preparing to get on the show, because there are just a lot of psychological things I would work on if I were going on again, just being confident in front of so many people, and definitely buzzer speed and wagering, but we're not talking about that. First issues. The first issue of Tiger Beat in 1965 asked whether this singing duo had lost that love and feeling and was breaking up. Who here remembers the first issue of Tiger Beat? Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think that Tiger Beat was that old either. It was very popular when I was of that age. And as Alex would say, this is before my time, but I do have a good handle on 60s music. And Lost That Love and Feeling is going to lead you to, Randy?
Righteous Brothers.
Good.
The Righteous Brothers, Bill Medley, and who was the other guy?
I can't remember the other guy's name. I only remember
I'll
Bill.
I'll think of it.
It was you did the duo with no, that's Bill Mel. He did a duo with
Jennifer Warnes,
yeah,
The Time of My Life from
yeah. But what was the
Dirty
other guy?
Dancing.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't think of his name now because I know him. I could picture him. Anyway,
Luckily, not an issue. But you'll notice that they could have just asked. The first issue of Tiger Beat asked whether this singing duo was breaking up. Nobody knows that. Maybe you do, Randy. But maybe someone who was.
I didn't know that the Righteous Brothers were planning to break up.
Yeah.
But let me also point out something I pointed out before. If this was too long and you're trying to figure out what are they looking for, this singing duo. That's the operative phrase there that tells you that they're looking for the singing duo.
Yeah, and the formatting here, I just plugged it in and it came out
Bobby
this way.
Hatfield,
Often,
thank you, boy. Bobby Hatfield, who's the other Righteous
oh,
brother.
right, yeah. But often they'll put this and the other thing on the same line. They'll change the line breaks so that it appears together. It's not confusing that way. All right, next up. Remember, if you have any questions, use the bottom right send a message with /Q. Oh, this might be my favorite clue from this season. The empire has fallen. In the Old Testament, this empire just keeps on coming as Esau married 2 women from it. If you know the story of Jacob and Esau, you probably still don't get this one. But the hint in here is just keeps on coming. And if you know the phrase, the hits just keep on coming, then maybe you can get to Hittites. Maybe not, but that's where you get that. Not from knowing about the Bible at all. It's just figuring out, oh, I've heard that phrase before. That sounds familiar. If you're on the show, maybe you don't take that guess. But on the test, no penalty for a guess. You might as well go for that.
That's a difficult one.
Yeah. But I had just been reading The Idiot's Guide to the Bible, and I was like, oh, Hittites sound familiar. So I was very happy about that one. Next up.
Okay. Actually, if you do know the Bible, you'd know that answer without even having to parse the question. Anyway.
I guess, yeah. But if you don't, then you know. All right, question. They wouldn't give you hits, I assume? No, they wouldn't, because that's not the name of an empire. Ninth Wave. At the 1824 premiere of this work, the musicians and choir were told to ignore the conductor. So we're looking for a work here. We're looking for something probably with ninth in the name. And lots of people have had ninth symphonies, but why would they ignore the conductor? Probably because he's deaf and doesn't know how to conduct properly anymore because he can't hear anything. So that should bring you on to Beethoven. So Beethoven's ninth. All right, I think we got a couple more. One more, maybe.
Okay.
Paul asked, how picky is Jeopardy about spelling on the online test? Not very picky at all. I assume they follow the same rules as they do on the show. If it doesn't change the pronunciation of the answer, then it should be good. I would imagine they're even a little bit more lax about typos and such. But, you know, if you can spell it phonetically, go for it. If you mistype something, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Yeah, I'd say definitely so. You know, for the most part, they're grading 100,000 exams here. So it is mostly automated, and the theory is that certain answers that don't fit what exactly they're looking for will get kicked into a separate bucket, which might get reanalyzed from it sounds like, or it looks like, or it's spelled kind of like it to be good enough. And then if it gets past that, it may have a real person look at it. Again, all theory, but there's got to be some kind of a process like that, because they couldn't just automatically correct things or mark them right or wrong.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Oh, well, I'll get to Vinny's question first. Is there an actual threshold for passing score? We're told, based on no confirmed information at all, that's 35, but who knows? Could be higher, could be lower. Jeopardy is very tight-lipped about this sort of thing.
How about rules on names?
Yeah, rules on names. I would always just use the last name unless it's someone from a famous family, like Kennedy or Clinton, or even if it's this president and the answer is Clinton, I would still go with Bill Clinton just because you know the first name, and sometimes they get picky. Even on Kennedy, they might give you just Kennedy if they're asking for a president, but better safe than sorry.
Yeah, I would think that in a situation like this, they are probably less likely to give you a situation where there's some ambiguity about the name. Like they wouldn't give you the question about a president named Johnson, because there's no opportunity here for them to say, please be more specific or give me more information, as they would on the show. So it's less likely, much less likely, that you would see a question like that. So for the most part, sticking with last names is usually a real good idea, unless it's just so second nature that you just automatically type out Bill Clinton.
Yeah, and another thing I would point out is if the question has to do with royalty, with kings or queens, and you know the numeral. So if they ask for Queen Elizabeth II as opposed to Queen Elizabeth I, I would definitely include the numeral. I wouldn't include the numeral if they were asking for, say, Ivan the Terrible. Just put Ivan the Terrible because it's actually Ivan IV, which I didn't know until recently. Not Ivan I, even though he was first czar. Don't give more information than is absolutely necessary for them to rule you correct. And I speak from experience because I got dinged on a Final Jeopardy where I just put Peter instead of Saint Peter, and there was confusion whether I was saying Peter the First, Peter the Great, Saint Peter. So that sucked a lot.
Yeah, David makes, I think, was a good point here, that if you're trying to choose between Lincoln and Johnson, for example, that you're not sure which one is the correct answer, I'd weigh heavily towards Lincoln, since they are less likely to ask about Johnson because of that name issue.
Yeah,
Lincoln is clear. They don't want to put themselves in a situation where they've created an ambiguity in the question, because there's really no way around it in a test like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, good point, David.
All right, so let's get back to this one. The American Bible Challenge. In 1 Kings chapter 3, God tells him, sorry, 1 Kings chapter 3, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart. So a couple ways you could approach this one. Wise is probably the easiest one. You name a wise king, the wisdom of somebody. Or Kings, the chapter is all about kings of Israel. And either of those could lead you to Solomon. Wise is the more obvious one, I would say, because he was very wise with his cutting the baby or offering to cut the baby in half anyway. All right, we got one more?
Do we have one more?
Good. Pulitzer Prize at 100. Hopefully he kept it clean when he won a drama Pulitzer for his play Glengarry Glen Ross. A lot of you will know Glengarry Glen Ross, who wrote that. But hopefully he kept it clean when is the key. And I see David is writing the correct answer, which is David effing Mamet, because he likes using the F word in basically every sentence that he writes. So if you know, so he kept it clean, so why would he have to keep it clean? Why? Because he swears a lot. And who swears a lot? David Mamet is known for his swears. So if you don't know who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, maybe you can get it that way.
Now, when I saw that, I was wondering whether there was something else going on there. Because I say, Glengarry Glen Ross, David Mamet, what else did I need? Are they really looking for something else? That made me wonder. So,
yeah, there was a Learned League question about him a couple of seasons ago, and I responded David effing Mamet, and it was marked correct. So at least Thorsten has a sense of humor about it. All right, so those are a few of the clues, and I hope that was helpful in showing you how to think about clues that might not be immediately obvious. So the takeaway I would say is, if something looks like it doesn't really belong in the clue, if it's adding additional or maybe unnecessary information, it might be a huge hint. Like last night, there was a clue about, I can't remember the category, but it was about philosophers. And it said, we would wager that you would know blah, 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 blah. And you didn't even need to read the rest of the question if you know about Pascal's wager. So often the clue can be had from 2 or 3 different directions. from knowing it cold, and I would say even more often when they include those hints, it's because it's very difficult to know that stuff cold.
Let me add that I think what you'll find is that most of the questions are actually much more straightforward than that. I mean, we focused on the ones that kind of asking you to find a way, what we call tease out an answer, to say there's some clue in there that might give it to me, because it's not necessarily immediately obvious. But just looking at it, most of the questions that you'll find, and if you haven't done the sample test at Jeopardy.com, definitely recommend doing it. I think,
thanks, David. David said he said me on the wager question. Good job. No, I'm not. That's one of my goals in life, is to be a Jeopardy clue, I guess. So we shall see.
I think someday you will be. Not maybe not a Jeopardy clue. I think you'll be a clue on a game show in the year 2046.
I hope they focus on my positive qualities.
On your positive, no, on your
something
the final wager. On your, you'll be kind of another John Nash, being recognized decades after he helped to change the world.
Well, I do hear voices sometimes. It's scary.
Yes, I think they may have exaggerated that a bit in the movie.
Yeah,
what was the name of that movie? The one with
Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's a good movie, but it's a little bit over the top.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's what we got. Anything else we need to mention about taking the test proper? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, you know what? There maybe were some questions or comments that we might have missed. If you got a second here and you're still with us, then maybe you want to key it in, because I know some people may have made comments that were questions that didn't necessarily show up in the question box.
Yeah, and one thing that we should point out again is, even if you do pass the test, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get an audition. It's mostly a random selection as far as we know, and some people get lucky, some people don't. They get a good mix of players out of it. It works for them, so that's all they can ask for.
Who's your favorite sauce, Phil?
Oh, Kristen, obviously.
Okay.
Actually, I kind of like Ben a lot from his from his photos on Facebook. No, I like Justin too, but Kristen used the final wager to study. So
okay. All right. You know what? I think we're getting ready to close up here. Oh, there he shows up again. Okay. We're getting ready to close up here. If you want to contact us, you're more than welcome. Keith can be reached at thefinalwager.co. He has his Twitter handle there, at thefinalwager. You can reach me at Randy Gold.
Yeah, and we may be back here. Yeah, we'll put a follow-up post up. I'll definitely put it on my site. Randy, you could put it up somewhere else, and with some takeaways if you don't want to watch the full hour, or if you've forgotten something that we've mentioned. I know we've gone over a lot of stuff, and yeah, we'll put that up later today. I mean, judging from the snow, I have nothing else to do, nowhere to go. So you can put that. We'll put that up later, and I guess at this point, all we can say is, those of you taking the test, best of luck. Remember, it's only a test. And if you pass and you get the call to have an audition, then come join us again for another discussion of what to do then. But for now, just relax, have fun with it, and here's hoping the categories fall your way. Randy?
I agree. And come join us on jboard.tv.
Yeah.
If you're just interested in the Jeopardy process, or you really, really want to get on the show, there's a lot of people there who have been on the show, who have been big champions, like Keith. And Arthur Chu shows up, Stephanie Yash shows up.
Yeah, Alex Jacobs shows up.
Yeah, Alex Jacobs, sure. Yeah, and there are discussions about the daily show and so on. Very often the champion will come on and have a discussion with you. So it's a great place if you're interested in Jeopardy.
Yeah.
So with that, I thank everybody for being here. And again, this replay will be available ad infinitum. And if you want to contact us, please do. And have fun and good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks all.
And thanks for joining us.
Okay. Bye.